Boris Johnson has insisted there was no alternative to the coronavirus restrictions he's been forced to introduce, as he promised to forge a new Britain in the teeth of this pandemic. The Prime Minister promised a revolution in green power generation, reforms to the social care system and improvements in education as he addressed the online Conservative Party conference. Mr Johnson rejected claims he's lost his mojo after his own battle with COVID-19. I'm joined now by Gillian Keegan, Conservative MP and the Minister for Apprenticeships and Skills at the Department for Education. Hello to you, Gillian Keegan. This was a vintage Boris Johnson speech, wasn't it? It was full of ideas, pretty slim on the detail on how they will be delivered, a big vision for the future. But was it really the right speech to be making now when we're in the grip of a pandemic?
I think so. I mean, the Prime Minister gets the opportunity, as we all know, to speak about coronavirus every day and has done for the past 6 months. So, you know, we're very transparent, we're open to a lot of scrutiny, but the whole country has been listening to updates on coronavirus, you know, pretty much 24/7. This was, you know, basically, we only got elected last December, and basically what the Prime Minister was saying was to the people was, you know, you elected us with a massive majority in December. We've been hit, obviously, as a country, as globally by this pandemic, but we have not forgotten that this is what we're here to do. This is what we're here to deliver. And, you know, many of us are working on that and have been working on that, continue to work on that. You know, not everybody, not every minister is 100% focused on coronavirus. So, you know, we've got a lot to say.
Well, many would argue there needs to be more focus on it, because rather than talking about floating windmills, people would say, well, the Prime Minister needs to get his feet on the ground and to get a grip of this situation, because frankly this week hasn't been one to be proud of for the government, has it?
Well, first of all, before you dismiss floating windmills, we are the largest offshore wind farm and industry in the world, and that's actually something to be proud of. And there's going to be a lot of jobs that are going to be generated in that area, and there's going to be a lot of competitive advantage that we will have, and an export industry. So before you dismiss that, I think it's important to know that that is part of the future in terms of green energy and net zero in terms of carbon. In terms of the other part of your question, which is, you know, do we have things that have happened this week that you know, have given us challenges? Of course. If you're doing things and you're trying to tackle you know, this unbelievably unprecedented situation, if you're in the chair, if you're actually trying to do all of these things, of course some things will go wrong. There'll be some teething troubles. Some things will have to be corrected.
16,000 contacts, 16,000 positive coronavirus cases going missing isn't a teething trouble, is it? It's highly dangerous. It means that contacts of those people who have potentially been exposed to coronavirus and are potentially then exposing others have not been informed. It's more than teething troubles.
Yeah. It is a teething trouble, because it was found out and it's been rectified almost immediately. And of course, you know, I think we've tested now about, I think 600,000 people have been informed as part of test and trace. And of course, you know, that you know, had to go in a few days later, and you know that shouldn't have happened. But all you can do when these things happen is fix them, and fix them quickly. That's all you can do. I mean, you know, I've worked in software for about 30 years. It isn't perfect. And processes are not perfect.
Well, having worked in software, you must feel pretty embarrassed that it was an outdated version of Excel that was being used in a department that's been given £12 billion for test and trace.
You know, these things do happen. You have to find them very quickly and you fix them.
But it hasn't been fixed. I'm sorry, Gillian Keegan, it hasn't been fixed, has it? Because we've just had the figures in the last few minutes that as of 9:30 today, 63% of those 16,000 missing cases have now been contacted. That is a significant delay, and there's still 37% of those who haven't been contacted, let alone the people that they may have been in contact with. So it hasn't been rectified and it hasn't been fixed yet.
In terms of the fix, it's the source data, which were the missing tests going in and being put in. Now what they're doing, obviously, is catching up on that contact tracing.
Which is life and death, really, isn't it? It is about people's lives.
Of course it's about people's lives. That's why we have these systems in place. And that's why we're urging everybody to adhere by them. The most important thing is that we all follow the rules, we follow the guidance, and we self-isolate if we have a positive test or if we're contacted by either a physical phone call or by your app pinging. That is actually the most important thing now, to make sure that we have an effective test and trace system.
Well, can you tell us then, of those 63% of people who have now been contacted, how many of their contacts have now been notified?
I don't have that figure with me, but I'm sure the teams are working on that. And, you know, this is all quite transparent. The information will be available as part of the testing figures that come out on a daily basis. But, you know, that's what they'll be doing. They'll be working through it right now, contacting people as we speak.
Well, it was 51% yesterday, 63% today. That's only 12% in a 24-hour period. Matt Hancock has been asked twice now about the numbers of contacts that have been alerted to this, and he hasn't been able to answer that question. That isn't the transparency that you talk about, or does the government not know?
Well, the people are doing it right now. In fact, it's probably changed in the time that we've been on this interview, because they'll be contacting them straight away. You know, obviously you have to contact someone, you have to make sure that they answer the phone or they acknowledge the contact. You know, and this is going on. This is going on every day as we try to, as a country, battle this virus and try to get it under control. And every single one of us has a role to play here. Every single one of us. So, you know, probably there's people that they're trying to get hold of as we're speaking. If you receive that message, then, you know, please self-isolate. That's what I would say.
Do you accept then why people see it as fantastical that Boris Johnson should set out a vision for people arriving in Britain in 2030 in a British-built jet, flashing their blue post-Brexit British passports, and yet in the real world, in real time, we can't manage a British-made app. It is riddled with problems, and we can't manage our test and trace system?
Well, 6 months ago, we didn't have a test. We didn't have coronavirus. We've built one of the largest testing networks in the whole world. We didn't have test and trace. 6 months, we built all of that. I think we can do a lot in 10 years.
We can also do a lot with £12 billion, can't we?
We can, and you know, obviously coronavirus there's been huge investments to support the NHS, to support jobs, to support businesses, to support individuals, to build new technologies, to find new treatments, to build new hospitals. At 7 new hospitals, there's been a lot of money spent on it. We have massively responded and reacted to try and keep everybody safe as much as we possibly can. We have spent a lot of money, and we will continue to spend more. We'll have to, you know, as we still have to live with coronavirus at the moment.
Gillian Keegan, thank you.